Hi, I'm Todd Wente, and this is the Daily 180 180 seconds of motivation and inspiration intended to help you take action and make progress in your life. This is episode 702 of the Daily 180, and today this is kind of an interesting one. I want to talk about something that's been on my mind a lot. I've talked with my daughter about it a little bit. We've been exploring this kind of a concept, and I think it's one that belongs here in this space, in this conversation. But in order to understand where it comes from and why it is so important for me, we need to go back. I need to take you back to when I was about 18. When I was 18 years old, I kind of had the feeling that everything was going to work out just perfect for me in my life. And part of the reason that I had that feeling was a lot of things did. I did well in school. I did well in events that I competed in. I did well in performance events. I did quite well in the different areas that I would look for. I got the job that I wanted. I got promotions when I was working in it. I dated the girls that I wanted to date. I had lots of successes. Now, please don't misunderstand me. I don't think I'm not saying that I had nothing but successes. I had my fair share of failures too. I had situations where things didn't go well in class. I had projects that didn't go well. I had significant problems with my father. I had frequently because of my choices about dating and different kinds of things. I had big problems with my parents. There were a lot of different kinds of problems that popped up along the way. So I'm not saying that I was this gifted child that ran through life and had nothing but positive things happening to me. But the way that I saw things was very, very different. I had a tendency when I was in, my later teenage years, 17 to 19, maybe 20 years old. I had a tendency to see things as, you know what, everything's going to work out. And I have the capabilities to leverage things to make things work. And then I started to have a lot of situations happen to me where maybe not a lot, but I became more aware of situations where I couldn't make them work out, or at least that's what it seemed like. I had some magnificent failures in terms of relationships and the way that things ran. I had some significant failures in job situations. School was much harder by the time I got into college, and things and I mean, things change, right? And so as I started moving from my teenage years, where I had this belief that things worked out, and they generally did, into my adulthood, and I had this belief that things were really hard, and the likelihood that they would work out was pretty low, and that's kind of what happened. And I started thinking about this and started asking myself, well, uh, was it me, or was it the situations that I found myself in? And one of the things that I think I started to make a conclusion around, and I talked with my daughter about this, is that I started saying to myself, for every situation that I come in contact with, if the factors around the situation line up, I just might have enough to make it work out okay. But by myself, I don't bring much to the table. And over the last little while, and maybe it's because I've I'm farther along in my life, I'm farther along in my career, I'm farther along in situations. I started to have some new situations where things were working out better for me. But I started to have some situations where things were working out better. And I started asking myself, well, what's really changed? And I'm not sure that this is gonna make an awful lot of sense for everybody else, but I know for me, it has really been interesting. The situations haven't really changed. What's changed is my perspective on what I bring to the table and what the situations bring. The way that I used to look at things from probably 25, in a deteriorating fashion all the way up until I was about 50, was that if the situation was favorable, I would probably not screw it up too bad. And so everything was kind of in a negative spiral. Even my ability was to minimize failure, not to maximize any kind of success. But over the last little while, I've started seeing situations and saying to myself, uh, even if the situation is unfavorable, I think I've got enough skills to minimize failure. The outcome, the mental outcome is not all that different. But what is different is the way that I'm looking at them. Rather than looking at it and saying, "Unless everything's lined up well with the situation, I am dead." I've looked at it and said, even if everything isn't ideal with the situation, I think I have the skills to minimize failure. That perspective in the last 2 years, I think, has been instrumental in being able to redirect some things in my life. Now, I'm not saying that my life is perfect. I still have a lot of problems. There are still, I could continue to go through a process and identify lots of problems, including some internal personal problems that I'm working on, some emotional difficulties with depression that I continue to have to deal with on occasion, some financial problems, some family problems. I mean, there's still there's still all the same problems. All the same things are going on. All the same events are going on in life. But the difference that I've had is by shifting my perspective, instead of saying, well, I'm barely good enough to prevent worse catastrophe, to I think I'm good enough to prevent significant failure, and removing most of the possibilities of success or failure from the situation and shifting them to myself so that the situation doesn't have the power, but I have the power. All of a sudden, things start to be better. It summarizes very nicely in a phrase that I use with my family all the adapts has the power. And I think I'm learning to adapt, continuing to learn to adapt as things go on. I hope this is valuable. If it's not, flush it. No big deal. I'm sure I'll try and come up with something better for the next one of these. But in the meantime, if this has been valuable, please share it. Please think about it. Please reflect on it. Please share on it. Please give me a comment in the comments below, and share this as broadly as we possibly can. I mentioned before that we're going to be doing some subscriber launch pieces. Let's see if we can get to 200 subscribers by the end of August. That'll largely be, I'll be putting out more detail, more content. But if you, as viewers, find value in the content, please share it. And if people find value in it, maybe they'll subscribe. And if they'll subscribe, then as we get to the higher levels of subscribers, I've got some plans to celebrate that with some special presentations, but also with some giveaways. And we'll see how things go. So thank you very much for being with me here. In the meantime, go forth and conquer Nulum Diem. My name is Todd Wente. This has been the Daily 180. We'll see you next time.